But they do have a laugh. I heard about a doctor who was working on a brain, right? And apparently when they work on the brain, it's best if they keep you awake because, just so you can go, that hurts a bit, and they go, oh, we best not touch that bit again.
That's the reason, Rick.
Amazing.
That's the reason.
No, there's certain operations, isn't there, where they go, we can knock you out for that, but for this one we want to know.
It's probably because the brain needs to be active in order to identify the thing. But sure, that's actually so you can wake up and go, yeah, no, that hurt. That stings. How that stings. Don't pop that in there.
You can't feel anything in the brain anyway. No nerve endings.
Really?
You can't feel it, can you?
Well, maybe there's another reason. But anyway, his head's open. He's sat on this chair. The doctor's going...
I reckon he was laying down.
I thought he was laying down, but in your world he's not. He's sat on a hard-backed
I think it's more like
chair.
in front of a mirror, like a hairdresser type thing, right? And he's cut the skin off.
So get a bit shorter there.
So he's
for the weekend, sir? I won't be shagging with no brain.
Anyway, so he's cut the skin off and, chopped a bit. And you're always going to get bits, aren't you? Sort of. Whenever you cut anything, you end up with a bit missing. But anyway, somehow he does the brain stuff. He fixes it. I don't know what he was doing, but
don't you? You don't know about. You don't know
the intricacies of brain surgery. That I find perplexing.
So you're not a neurosurgeon. I don't want. Oh, okay.
So they sorted out the problem, right? And he goes, right. All we've got to do now is stick the head bit back on.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, by the way. The head bit.
This happened.
Yeah. The head bit's connected to the face bit.
Yeah. So he sticks.
Nurse, head bit. Doctor, do you need leg bit? Not yet, nurse. Head bit, then leg bit.
So they stuck the head bit back on, and then
can you pass me the sharpie thing?
He was trying to sew it, and he was going, "This isn't fitting. This." He's going, "I don't know." And because the patient's...
Right, if this turns out that it's
someone else's head,
or a toupee from the doctor next to him, or a cat. Wow!
No,
you've sewn a cat to my brain.
It's none of that. He's trying to sew it, and he's thinking, "Why isn't it fitting?" And he's thinking, "Is it because the head's swollen?" Because he's been messing about in it, and things swell, don't they? And messed about with. So he's messing with it. He's going, I don't understand this, and he's panicking a bit because the patient's awake and chatting and stuff. And it's difficult to have a normal chat when you're panicking a little bit.
There's a queue as well. People want their brain done, and they're reading old copies of magazines. They're going, hurry up.
So
I'm going out tonight. Do you want to wash it? No. Just I'll wash it later. Just take it off, do the brain, put it back on.
Anyway, what happens is he has to start rummaging.
So start rummaging.
Sort of rummaging.
Rummaging. No! There's no N before the first G. Rummaging.
Well, he starts looking through the... he starts having a look through the bin.
Because, what?
Because he knows he's chucked a bit away of the skin.
Right. Where is this surgery where a bloke's sitting up in front of a mirror and there's a bin? Is there a little basketball ring above the bin as well? So when he throws things, it goes through there first?
I'm just saying that's what happened, and you were saying about things that happen, and you've got a joke about it.
So he's rummaging, and what happens?
He said to him, the fellow was starting to sense the nervousness, and he said, "What's going on here?" And he says, "Oh, you're never going to believe it. I've lost a bit of your skin.
Lost a bit of your head, yeah.
I can't."
Why did he cut? I don't understand. Why is there... Why is it in two bits?
Because things just break up, don't they? It's like chicken. When you see him walking around, everything's in place and it sticks together. You cook it, suddenly it all breaks up.
He'd cooked his face before he cut it out.
I'm just saying how flesh, it sticks together well.
Yeah, he'd cooked the scalp before he'd taken it off his head.
No, but it's just an example of how skin can break up with the muscles and everything.
So he's rummaging in the bin, and does he find the head?
He found the bit, and then he's like, "Oh, sorry about that," and he sort of managed to stick it on.
Right, he didn't wash it off or anything?
Yeah, I'm sure he gave it a bit of a rinse. But I'm just saying how...
Nonsense.
You've got to make a joke out of stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, it's bollocks.
If you're a doctor.
Okay, that's good.
So where was the joke in that story? At what point I thought this was a story about how doctors have a sense of humour.
Yeah,
when did he make a joke?
At the end, he sort of laughed and he sort of said, "Oh, there you go, it's back on, but good job the bin men didn't come or whatever." And they made a joke out of it.
I've never heard such nonsense. I've never heard such nonsense.
So a good friend of mine, Eddie Chang, he's the chair of neurosurgery at UCSF. He's spends his life and he makes his living probing around in the brain of people who have epilepsy, looking for the site where if they stimulate, the person will have a seizure so that they can burn that area out or make some other manipulation. And he's told me that he's been poking – you can't poke around at random, right? You can't – every scientist would love to just do that experiment, just go in and kind of search. But there are sites where they'll stimulate thinking they might evoke a feeling of pleasantness or no feeling at all, and the person will go into a rage in the OR, in the operating room, because they're wide awake. You've probably seen these things of people with neurosurgery and they're playing the violin or things of that sort. occasionally they'll hit an area where the person will say, I'm feeling super angry right now. And they'll say, let's back off a little bit from there. And they'll chart where they were in the brain.
That is wild. So there's just like a spot.
Yeah, there is. They shave the head in a little spot. They drill it. They make a tiny little hole in the skull, and they're lowering electrodes down there. And the way these electrodes are built, they're not just a single wire. It's actually pretty cool. It's like a barrel of wires, and they're able to like put them to different depths. So, you imagine 100 or 1,000 wires all at different depths and, probing around and stimulating at different levels. So it's all happening very fast. And then they'll hit a spot where the person will say, I feel like I'm about to have a seizure, or sometimes we'll have a full-blown seizure, and they go, okay, that's the spot.
Wow.
And so
we're kind of poking around the dark?
They are.